Hello, good evening and welcome. It would appear that months of suspense and speculation on an impending election has been brought to an end.
And that end has been brought about by no less than a presidential announcement. We'll have all this and more coming up on the News Bulletin tonight. But first, here's a look at your headlines.
19th Amendment to be presented to Parliament on the 20th of April. Parliament will be dissolved when amendment is passed. A statement from the President. The Supreme Court determines that passage of certain sections of the 19th Amendment require a referendum. Who should chair Palinganuwara Divisional Development Committee meeting? Argument breaks out. MP Tiranalas provides a statement to the Police Special Investigations Division.
In tonight's top story, President Maithripala Sirisena announced today that the 19th Amendment to the Constitution will be presented to Parliament on the 20th of this month and that Parliament will be dissolved once the amendment is adopted. The President made this statement at an event held in Polonnaruwa today.
The event was held at the Pulathisi College in Polonnaruwa to distribute sports equipment for sports clubs and schools in the district. Sports equipment was distributed to 64 schools and 330 sports clubs at the event.
There are certain confrontations which can be seen in Parliament. All this will come to an end with the next general election. I need to fulfill the promise I made to the people regarding reducing the powers of the President. All the party leaders discussed the matter yesterday and decided to bring the 19th Amendment to Parliament on the 20th of this month. It will be brought to Parliament on the 20th, and once it is adopted, we hope to dissolve Parliament and hold a general election.
Now, Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa informed Parliament today that the Supreme Court had determined that certain sections of the 19th Amendment would require a referendum to be passed. He added that the court had determined that the other sections of the amendment could be adopted with a two-thirds majority in Parliament. The Supreme Court has determined that sections dealing with the executive and the powers of the President and the Prime Minister would require a referendum to ensure their passage.
ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ 121 ව්‍යවස්ථාව ප්‍රකාරව
I have received the Supreme Court's determination on the bill for the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which was challenged in the court as per Article 121(1) of the Constitution. The court has determined that the bill is in line with Article 82(1) of the Constitution and must be passed with a two-thirds majority as per the special provisions in Article 82(5). The Supreme Court has also determined that Articles 42(3), 43(1), 43(3), 44(2), 44(3) and 44(5) as cited in Section 11 of the bill and the proposed amendment to Section 104A 5C as mentioned in Section 26 of the bill should be passed by the people through a referendum as stated in Article 83 of the Constitution. I order that the Supreme Court determination be printed on the order paper for today.
අද දින කාර්යසටහන් දක්වන නිල වාර්තාවේ මුද්‍රණය කළ යුතුයයි මම නියෝග කරමි.
දේශපාලන තීන්දුවෙන් ජනමත විචාරණ උමනා කියන වගන්ති සියල්ලම
I wish to inform the House that we will remove all the sections which the Supreme Court has determined require a referendum when the bill is in the committee stage. We will limit it to only the sections that can be adopted with a two-thirds majority.
This is in violation of the existing constitution. It is illegal. If we pass it this way, then it will be invalid in the future and it will be annulled. There is plenty of space for the argument that this is an unacceptable constitution. Let us collate all of it and present a gazette to Parliament once again.
At a time when our President Maithripala Sirisena is preparing to let go of executive powers, you are telling him not to let go. There is a saying in Buddhism that you do not carry all the sins committed from birth, so you will all be forgiven for the sins you committed over the past 10 years. We will forgive all if you support this.
We have no problem whatsoever with reaching a preliminary consensus within a week on the primary concepts of the amendment without giving rise to a referendum on the position of President. We are able to agree with many of the sections in this. We are not rejecting it. We say that this bill be presented through the Gazette to this Parliament once again.
So I would urge all of you, this is a historic moment for us. Let us not miss this opportunity. Let us not play petty politics in this instance. My generation was ruined because of petty politics. We don't have to do that anymore. We have a president from one party, we have a prime minister from another party. This is an ideal opportunity for us. And if we don't do this, I feel history will curse all of us. Thank you.
We got to know from the Honourable Leader of the House today that the amendments to be tabled in the committee stage had been submitted for the scrutiny of the Supreme Court. The drafters of this bill and the government have a responsibility to adequately inform all citizens on the contents and purpose of all these amendments and give them the opportunity to place it before the Supreme Court.
Honourable Speaker, I am truly surprised. I wondered when I returned after lunch if the bill was being debated. What is the meaning of this? We are not debating the contents of the bill, we are debating the steps that should be taken to debate the bill. I wish to say this, I am an MP and a lawyer, but even I was confused in reading all of these amendments all joined together. Given my experience imagining how someone else would have felt, therefore I say do not turn this into a major issue.
I am therefore extremely grateful to the court for having made it crystal clear that this type of tampering with the constitution should not be allowed. In a country that really followed the Westminster system, we would have resignations at this point when efforts to impose arbitrary mechanisms on the country are so categorically struck down by the court. And I hope that those members of this House who wanted good governance, and I believe there are several of them in the United National Party as well as on this side of the House, will make clear that the traditions of Parliament need to be followed, and in this case, I don't say heads should roll, but people should accept responsibility for so endangering the reform agenda of His Excellency the President, and instead of concentrating on what we are all agreed on, which is that the excessive powers of the presidency should be reduced, instead of trying to transfer them elsewhere. This has been a tragic event, and I hope it will not prevent the reforms we need.
I do not agree with the contention that the contents of the amendments were at variance or with the substance of the bill itself. That is certainly not so. It was almost in keeping with the substance of the bill itself, and therefore to allow this bill to be, or rather to, if you concede the argument of the honourable members, and if you are to once again gazette this bill which has already been subject to examination by court, it's virtually a superficial exercise, and it's going to be totally a futile exercise. It has never happened before, and therefore I urge Speaker, that we will follow the procedure that has been suggested by Honourable Susil Premajayantha and take up this bill for debate. Honourable Prime Minister has already indicated that he is dropping those provisions regarding which a referendum is required.
The mortal remains of the late Chief Prelate of the Askiri chapter of the Siam sect, Aggamaha Pandita, the Most Venerable Udugama Sri Buddha Rakita Thera, were placed at the Askiri Mahaviharaya today. The final rites will be observed on Sunday.
The mortal remains of the late Chief Prelate, Most Venerable Udugama Sri Buddha Rakita Thera, were brought to Sri Lanka from Singapore last night. The cortege lay at a private funeral parlour in Colombo, where a large gathering including members of the Mahasangha and politicians paid their final respects. The cortege departed for Kandy in procession this morning. The cortege reached the Colombo-Kandy highway via Borella and Paligoda and reached Kandy this afternoon. The mortal remains were then brought to the Askeri Mahaviharaya.
President Maithripala Sirisena also paid his last respects to the late Chief Prelate this evening.
I am extremely saddened by his passing. I was able to inquire into his well-being when I visited him at the hospital in which he was receiving treatment in Singapore. At that time, he invoked his blessings by tying a pirit thread around my wrist. This is a great loss to the country, the Buddhist community, and the entire world. May he rest in peace.
The
Mahanayaka's passing has given cause to great sorrow in our hearts. This is a time in which all of Sri Lanka is coming together to one state of mourning as a result of this great loss. May he rest in peace.
The
Chief Prelates had this to say regarding the service rendered to the Buddha Sasana by the late Chief Prelate of the Askeri chapter, Agamaha Pandita, the Most Venerable Udugama Sri Buddha Rakita Thera.
I believe everyone will remember how he fearlessly faced times of national and religious crisis and how he stated that the declaration of Varyapola, Sri Sumangala Thera, and intervened fearlessly. The Most Venerable Chief Prelate had the strength of character which enabled him to advise leaders and even point out their mistakes when required. We cannot measure the service that was rendered by the late Chief Prelate of the Askeri chapter of Siam sect, whose service extended beyond home to other nations too. He brought great respect to our country. He was not affected by divisions in the different chapters. He worked with bhikkhus from all of the chapters. While expressing the condolences of all the bhikkhus of the Amarapura chapter, I also pray that he will attain Nibbana.
On to another headline-making story. MP Tiranalis arrived at the Special Investigations Division at police headquarters today and provided a statement.
Several UPFA MPs accompanied MP Tiranalis this afternoon upon his arrival at the police headquarters.
I'm not sure why they asked me to come. If they send me back, I will speak to you when I return.
On his way out of the premises, MP Tiranalis made a statement to the media.
There was an issue with regard to the construction of houses by RADA. They called me to record a statement. I told them that I am against the actions taken by a single individual. Today I will name that individual. With responsibility I can state that this person is Minister Champika Ranawaka. He is behind this campaign that is being staged against me. Under the front known as the Anti-Corruption Front, he has filed a complaint against me with the IGP and an investigation has commenced. This is simply slinging mud at me and an act of political revenge. The reason for this is simple. Udaya Gammanpilla is like a brother to me. After he left the JHU, Minister Champika Ranawaka had gone places and said that he would teach a lesson to Tiranalis. He had said that I had intervened with the JHU not knowing who Patil Champika Ranawaka was. This is that lesson he spoke of. He is trying to teach a lesson to me. I wish to say this to Champika Ranawaka. I bow down to no one. He cannot teach me any lessons. I will take this to every place possible and continue this fight.
As an attorney, I am ashamed over the statement released by police media spokesperson Rohan Gunasekara, who is also an attorney. As far as I can recall, never in the history of the police department had such a statement to fulfill political achievements been made. I request that media spokesperson Ruwan Gunasekara not bring disrepute to our profession.
MPs who appear on behalf of the rights of the people cannot even continue their work. An oppressive program never before witnessed in this country has commenced. Various forces from within the United National Party, the JVP and those in the government who obtained various positions are producing statements to bring in persons to the CID and various other persons without conducting any investigation on those corrupt individuals.
මේ අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවට හා විවිධ ස්ථානවලට එන්ට කියලා ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා. අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙන.
What is required is a proper investigation into the complaint we have filed as the Anti-Corruption Front. It was the Anti-Corruption Front that received this file. Once we received the file, we studied it, we made inquiries into it through a panel of lawyers, and then we submitted it to the Criminal Investigations Department. We did this as the Anti-Corruption Front. Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka was not involved in this in any way. However, as a member of the Anti-Corruption Front's governing board, I was the one who signed the file and I am responsible for that. What we said as the Anti-Corruption Front is that we had received this file and that upon further scrutiny, it became evident to us that there was some irregularity or financial fraud that had occurred here. All we requested is that an investigation be carried out. If an accusation has been levelled against him, then what he should do is ask for an investigation into that accusation.
පරීක්ෂණයක් පවත්වන්නේ කියන එකයි මම හිතන්නේ ඉල්ලීමක් විදියට කළ යුතු වන්නේ. Anti-Corruption Fund is a citizens organization based on facilitating complaints between citizens and the state organization. So therefore this organization is an independent citizenry body. What we are trying to do is bring anonymous or named complaints by the citizens to the relevant authorities. Other than that, there is no vested interest or hidden agenda to castigate certain people or bring people into the law. What has happened was, based on the papers where the Anti-Corruption Fund has forwarded to CID, they have initiated inquiry onto that, and we don't see any vested interest or particular interest. We want to say that Anti-Corruption Fund is not a pawn of anybody. It is a very independent body which is trying to eradicate corruption and malpractices in the society. Actually, there is no need of taking a statement from Mr. Tiran Alas, because he has already given a statement. That statement is enough to investigate into this matter. Actual culprits are Mr. P.B. Jayasundara of Treasury and the former Secretary to the President, Mr. Lalit Veeratunga. So they have give answers how this happened and why this happened. So therefore, I don't see any reason to get alarmed by Mr. Tiran Alas.
President Maithripala Sirisena stated that in his capacity as the president of the SLFP, it is his intention to take the party forward with unity among all. The president made this statement today at the SLFP Representatives Conference in Kurunegala.
The inaugural district-level SLFP Representatives Conference was held at the Malyadeva Girls' School in Kurunegala today. SLFP patron and former President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga and all SLFP MPs from the Kurunegala district were present at the occasion.
In every instance, in any political party, there are various differences of opinion which arise. Our purpose must be to once again give due an SLFP-led alliance government. We will have to make sacrifices for this. We will have to reach a consensus and make adjustments. We will need everybody's support. It was Mahinda Rajapaksa himself who told me, Maitri, take over the party. I said I was willing. The next question he asked me is whether I would work with the existing office bearers or whether I would change them. I told him we need new office bearers, and new office bearers were chosen. While I gave promotions to everyone who was an office bearer under Mahinda Rajapaksa, I did not remove anyone. Those in the Central Committee are not children and infants. They all have love and respect for the party and the country. The Central Committee is the supreme centre of power in the country. Decisions will be taken. The Executive Council is a broader entity. Decisions will be made there too. All the people who need to be brought together in this political climate to make the SLFP victorious must be brought together.
The chairman of the National Movement for a Just Society, Venerable Maduluawe Sobita Thera, and the General Secretary of the Jatika Helorume, Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka, held talks at the Srinaga Viharya in Kotte today.
The pair had discussed matters pertaining to the draft 19th Amendment to the Constitution and the current political situation.
It is natural for differences and clashes of opinions to arise. However, eventually this should lead to a correct position being adopted. We must move to that correct position, introduce the 19th Amendment, adopt it and dissolve Parliament. We kindly request all political parties, MPs and ministers to fulfill this task. It is the people's expectation. Do not raise your hands against the hopes of the people and betray them. I met the minister and spoke with him in order to correct our future path.
ජනතා ද්‍රෝහී වෙන්න එපා. එමෙතුමා හමු වෙලත් අද සාකච්ඡා කළේ අපේ ඉදිරි ගමන් මග නිවැරදි කරගන්න. මේ ගෙනා ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනය.
We had major criticisms regarding the proposed amendment to the Constitution and the system by which it was introduced. We submitted those concerns. We hope and we are of the position that we will give the people a two-thirds majority victory depending on the determination of the Supreme Court. The problem will not be resolved by removing the position of Executive President and replacing it with an Executive Prime Minister. We hope to create a balance of power between the Executive Presidency, the Parliament and the Judiciary and democratize the position of Executive President. If we work in line with this consensus, then we will be able to adopt this amendment inclusive of these three major points in Parliament.
The Development Committee meeting of the Palindanura Administrative Division was held today. An argument broke out between Minister Mahinda Samarasinghe and UNP Provincial Councillor Kitsiri Kahatapitiya over who should chair the meeting.
මම මෙතන වාඩි වෙන්නේ රජයේ ඇමතිවරයෙක් හැටියට මම වාඩි වෙන්නේ රජයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක් හැටියට රජයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක් අපි නියම රජයේ මන්ත්‍රීවරු ඔයගොල්ලෝ පළාත් සභාවේ විපක්ෂයේ ඉන්නේ හරිද නමුනාගල මම අහන්න එපා මම විපක්ෂ නෙමෙයි මම ඉන්නේ ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂේ මම වාඩි වෙන්නේ ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයට මම පැනලා ආවේ නැහැ මාව මට ආරාධනා කරලායි මම ගියේ මට ඔයා මේ දන්නේ නැත්නම් කතා කරන්න එපා මමයි මේ රැස්වීම කරලා තියෙන්නේ හරිද මෙතන මේ ලස්සනට අපි සාකච්ඡාව ගෙනිච්චා මෙතන කරුණා කරලා දේශපාලනය ගේන්න එපා ඉච්චා කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඔක්කොම හරිද එහෙම වුණොත් ඉතින් මේගොල්ලන්ටම යනවනේ ඔක්කොම ඔයා හිටියේ නැහැනේ මම මොකක්ද කිව්වේ කියලා අහගත්තා නම් වෙලාවට ඇවිල්ලා ඉවරලා ඔහොම කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ එහෙම තමයි මම මේ බොහොම බැලන්ස් එකේ මේක ගෙනියන්න හදන්නේ මෙතන කරුණා කරලා ප්‍රශ්න ඇති කරන්න එපා මොකද අපිටත් පුළුවන් ප්‍රශ්න ඇති කරන්න අපේ ආතේ බලය තියෙන්නේ මටත් පුළුවන් හරිද මොකද පුළුවන් නම් ප්‍රශ්න ඇති කරන්න මට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ ඉතින් ඔබතුමා හිතන්න කොහෙද පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ 50ක් තියාගෙන ආණ්ඩුවක් පිටිටෙව්වා කියලා කරුණා කරලා මෙතන ඇවිල්ලා මේ ගෙම්බර පාත් දාන්න එන්න එපා අපි ආණ්ඩුව පිටවල නැහැ අපි ඒවට තමයි හෙට මෙහෙට ආණ්ඩුව පිටවල තියෙන්නේ අපිට ආරාධනා කරලා ජනාධිපතිතුමා කරුණා කරලා මේ රටේ ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ බලතල අභියෝගයකට කරන්න අපි තමයි අභියෝගයකට මේ අලක් කරන්න එන්න එපා අනිත් පැත්තට වැඩ කරේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා අපේ පක්ෂයේ නායකයෙක් ඇච්චරයි මොනවද ඔබතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ගිහිල්ලා ආණ්ඩු බලයට එන්න ඇමතිවරයෙක් වෙන්න ඊට පස්සේ මේවා කරන්න පුළුවන් අපි වැඩ කරන්නේ අපේ අගමැතිතුමාගේ අපේ අමාත්‍යවරුන්ගේ වැඩ පිළිවෙල මම නම් වැඩ කරන්නේ රජය වෙනුවෙන් හරි රජයේ තියෙන්නේ අමාත්‍යවරු වෙන්න බෑ
On a more somber note, the second son of the woman who was murdered in Kotaketana Kahawatta has been arrested by the police. Police media spokesperson ASP Rohan Gunasekara said that the suspect was arrested by officers attached to the Colombo Crimes Division. The body of the woman who was killed recently in Kotaketana was found in a stream in close proximity to her house. The police are conducting further investigations into the murder. And with that, we go in for a short commercial break. Business News is coming up on the other side.
Welcome back. The National Federation of Tea Smallholders says that the certified price system introduced by the government for tea leaves is not practical. They point out that the problems faced by the tea smallholders need to be resolved in order for the price system to be implemented.
The National Federation explained the problems faced by approximately 500,000 tea smallholders in Deniaya today.
මේ පත්වෙච්ච අලුත් ආණ්ඩුව විසින් ඉදිරිපත් කරපු අතුරු අයවැයෙන් ප්‍රකාශයක් කරා.
The interim budget presented by the new government stated that the certified price of tea leaves will be 80 rupees. Some state media stated under the liner on the 100-day program that the certified price was finalized between 80 to 90 rupees. This is a blatant and baseless lie. This is a lie. The tea smallholders only receive 60 to 65 rupees. This is not enough to cover their costs.
The
National Federation of Tea Smallholders also point out that the prices fell due to irregularities in the country's tea industry.
මේ වෙනකොට අති දැවැන්ත ලෙස කසර තේ ජාවාරමක් මේ රටේ සිද්ධ වෙනවා. නිසා ඒක වහාම ආණ්ඩුව නවත්තන්න.
A massive dust tea scam is currently taking place in the country. The government needs to stop it immediately. The scam operates through importing substandard tea from countries like Vietnam, Kenya and India and mixing it with the Sri Lankan tea, which is then sold under the Ceylon tea brand. We believe that the government will be able to provide this certified price if they stop this and provide an income for the tea smallholders and small factory owners.
ආණ්ඩුව මේ කියන සාතික මිල දෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
And finally, in news from the school's cricket arena, St. Benedict's College Colombo clinched the championship of the Inter-School Under-19 2020 tournament. St. Benedict's battled it out against St. Peter's College Mamlapitia and won the finals of the tournament by 22 runs.
Winning the toss and batting first, St. Benedict's College posted 114 runs on the board all out in just 19.3 overs. Tulina Dilshan scored for the lads from Kotahena with 45 runs. Ashant Malaka bagged 5 wickets for 15 runs. Chasing 115 runs to win, St. Peter's College could only post 92 runs on the board as they were bundled out in 18 overs. Lakshan Rodriguez scored 39 runs. Sheetal Fernando bagged 4 wickets for 18 runs. Tulina Dilshan from St. Benedict's College number 13 was adjudged player of the tournament.
Well, with that, we wrap up Thursday night's edition of Prime Time News. Just a reminder, if you missed out on any of the stories we just aired, you can log on to our website, www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Sonali Manikbaduke.
And I'm Nadim Majid. Good night and good luck.